I'm here answering some of the questions y'all have been asking me for a while now, including a couple very interesting ones that may surprise you. So I'm getting ready to head on this big trip to Pennsylvania in a couple days. I've got a couple big projects in the works. I've got a history of PhotoPass coming up and some other things, but it has been so busy that I thought I would take a few minutes here and actually address a few questions that viewers have sent me over the last few months that have been just kind of sitting in my inbox waiting for me to answer. And then when I get back, look for that history of PhotoPass and a whole bunch of other stuff. But wanted to jump in, answer a few of these. I think a couple of these questions, my answers may surprise you just a little bit. And I didn't mark down who sent them to me. I've picked these up through comments on YouTube, through submissions to my ideas board. They've been submitted there. I've had them emailed to me in other places. So they've all been kind of gleaned together from different spots. Let me stop blathering and let's get on with it. So, first question I get asked a lot by a number of people. Disney Plus, is it worth it? And what are your favorites to watch? We actually bought Disney Plus on the pre-sale price and paid for 3 years in advance and got a really good price on that. And then with my cell phone service, because we use Verizon, I actually get the whole bundle. I get Hulu, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus all free with my cell phone service. So that pre-sale price is basically kind of on hold, and they're just going to add that on. So when eventually we cut off our cell phone service or they change deals, we will then have all that added on to the end. So for me, is it worth it? Oh yeah, absolutely. Even if I was actually paying the full bundle price today, though, Disney Plus is probably the streaming service that we watch the most. We have Amazon Prime. We've got a couple others as well, but we watch Disney Plus all the time. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. There's a ton of Star Wars content on there. I've really been enjoying the defective stormtroopers. That has been fun. Was it The Bad Batch, I believe is what it's called. Really enjoying those kinds of series. We've loved the Marvel series. Loki's coming out soon. Can't wait for that to come out. Mandalorian was fantastic. So a lot of the content they are producing just for Disney Plus has been absolutely fantastic. I finished the Clone Wars. I've gone back and watched several old movies that I really enjoyed. So yeah, I'm constantly watching things on it. Is Disney Plus worth it? Absolutely. And hey, we got to see all of DuckTales that way as well. The one other streaming service I use that has been wonderful has been YouTube TV. And that's what we actually use as our cable TV provider. And between the two, we really got just about everything covered that way. So yes, Disney Plus, absolutely worth it. What parks food do I like the best? Ooh, this is actually kind of tough. I love the food at Silver Dollar City. It's got a great variety. So much of it's made from scratch. Universal's food was okay. Walt Disney World tends to be hit or miss. It used to be good all over the place, but the last couple visits, it was Honestly, the place that surprised us the most with the quality of the food was Disneyland. There were a couple spots that they missed, that was but as a whole, the food at Disneyland was really good. We were very impressed. In the week that we had there, for me, there were 2 meals that I thought were and everything else was just fantastic. I would say right now, Disneyland probably has my favorite food, tied with Silver Dollar City. I really like the food at Silver Dollar City, especially the cinnamon bread. Oh my goodness. Yum, 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 yum. Is there a park or part of one that I wished I worked at and I didn't, and why? If you're referring to just Walt Disney World, I really like the parks I did work at, and I pretty much covered everything at Walt Disney World. There really wasn't much at Walt Disney World that I didn't get to do. I didn't get to work at the water parks. I wish I'd been able to work at the water parks. That would have been a lot of fun, and I didn't get to do that. And I kept trying. I mean, I really tried to get into the water parks, but they kept saying that I needed special training and extra training, and they couldn't ever provide that. And then they'd hire new people and transfer them and give them the training and not me. And it was just kind of like, Hello? So that was the one thing there I didn't get to do. But if I could pick any park, it probably would have been Disneyland. Not that it ever was any reasonable possibility. The closest I lived to it was about 2 hours away. There was no way I was doing a 2 hour commute through Los Angeles. That would probably be the one other park that I wish I could have worked at. But I got Walt Disney World, so that was pretty good, I think. Other than that, there really isn't any other parks that I look at and go, oh, it would have been awesome to work there. I worked the ones I worked at and I loved them. So I think I covered it pretty good with those. I was blessed. Between Silver Dollar City, the four Walt Disney World parks, and Busch Gardens, I covered a lot of ground and had a ball doing it. So no complaints there. How does Disney keep their cast members on schedule throughout the year? And is it seasonal or permanent? Yes. As far as Walt Disney World goes, you had three basic classifications for what you would consider your regular cast members, the people in the parks. You had full time or casual regular, is what they called it. Yeah, I know, weird name. You had part time or a casual part time, and then you had seasonal. And they all had kind of different statuses. The full time was essentially guaranteed at least 32 hours a week of work with benefits. They had a regular schedule. And that when I did my video a while back on bid lines, that was the full time workers who got to bid on those. You also had the part timers. Part time basically means you're available at least 2 days a week. You could work a 40-hour week as a part time cast member, but you weren't going to get benefits. And that was the biggest difference is 16 hours a week minimum, generally up to 40, no benefits for a part-timer. And you would have your set days that you would work. So if you were a teacher, for example, and you wanted to work at Disney, you could work every Saturday and Sunday while you were teaching. Then on holidays, you'd fill in extra hours because you have to maintain an average number of hours to keep that status. Seasonal, you're supposed to work so many hours every 6 months. And that basically means that you would come in for like a week during that 6 months and work full time during that week. So you'd put in 40, 50 hours during a week every 6 months. And ideally, you do it for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. That was a status aimed at teachers or students or other people who had other jobs that took up much of the time. So you could do any of those three, and Disney would use them at different times of the year. Summer being busiest, of course, and then the holiday season, they're going to get a lot more part-time and seasonal workers working because there's a lot more guests to take care of. So that's kind of how that all worked out. So depending upon what you had going, what your work availability was, if you had another job or not, it could dictate what your status was. How will things look at Disney post-pandemic and once things get back to normal? Interesting thought now. We're finally starting to turn the corner. We can start to see some glimmers of what's going to happen. Disney is starting to hint that they're bringing back shows. They're hiring back entertainers and photographers. Don't know what they're going to do as far as fireworks, parades, and character meet and greets yet. But I imagine those will all come back. It's just not Disney without those. So you can see the characters, but you can't meet them. It will come back in some form or other. In particular, especially with the character meet and greets, there's too much money to be made off the pictures with them. So that will definitely be back, and like I said, fireworks and parades will in some way. As far as other things go, from what I am hearing at Walt Disney World, we may have seen the last of Fast Pass the way it was. And that's okay with me. Fast Pass can go bye-bye. And I've done a whole video about Fast Pass and why I don't like it. I don't think Fast Pass is going to come back. What they are showing with Disneyland's reopening is they are doing this virtual queue now. And I'm not sure how I feel about this. They're doing it with Rise of the Resistance in both coasts. And then they're also adding on the new Marvel's Avengers campus. And at Disneyland, you can only get one per day. So you're either going to ride Rise of the Resistance or you're going to do Marvel Avengers. You can't do both. And I'm not sure I like that. I do like the fact that Fast Pass is going away so you can be more relaxed and not have to plan. But the virtual queue is going to kind of kill that again. I don't like things where you have to have your whole day planned weeks in advance. I want to be able to be spontaneous and go with the flow. And so that's something As far as a lot of the other stuff, I think you're going to see most of what we've had to deal with the last year and a half disappear. I fully believe in another year, if even that long, we're going to really be kind of back to the way things were at the parks. And I don't think it's going to be that different. It's kind of getting to a point where if you're vaccinated, great. And if you're not vaccinated and you get sick, well, that's on you. We're getting to a spot where the numbers are. We've got more people now getting vaccinated in the U.S. than are not vaccinated. And I think that's going to continue to increase. And so they're just going to kind of lay it on people. And, that's up to you. And you can figure it out. I don't think it's going to be that much different than what it was. Like I said, there will be some things that Disney has cut during this time that they won't bring back because you've got Bob Chapek running the company now. But they're going to pinch pennies. And so you will see services and things that used to exist before pandemic that won't be back. And I think that's kind of sad. A lot of the stuff that they used to, what you're used to at the parks, will be mostly back to normal. So we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. And then I have one more question here, which is a little more controversial. I'd like to hear your thoughts and feelings on the whole cancel culture movement and Disney's decision to remove classic animation movies off the kids' profiles on Disney. Also, do you feel Disney should release the old movies such as Song of the South? So, I'm not going to really get into the whole cancel culture thing because I know there's a lot of strong feelings, and I don't want to touch that too much because this is a safe place. I have talked about political correctness gone amok at Silver Dollar City with some of the goofy complaints that we got at the park. Disney deals with some of the same things where people overreact and feel like they have to protect people who can't protect themselves, and it's gotten carried away. It's definitely one of those that if you have a differing view, I do think it's gotten a little on the extreme side. Now, there's a difference between a different view and a disagreeable view, and we forget that sometimes. I don't think somebody should be canceled just because they have a different opinion. I do think that, like I said, it's easy to get caught up in that and start doing things. There's definitely things that are offensive, that are insulting, that are racist, that are bigoted, and they don't have any place in society today. At the same time, the historian in me says it is good to be able to see some of the old stuff and see how we have progressed and acknowledge what it was and say we need to be better. I like the approach really that Warner Brothers has taken with their old cartoons and the disclaimers on some of them that they now put. So you can see what it was and realize, maybe this isn't real good. I understand why Disney is not releasing Song of the South. If you know several other movies like Dumbo and Peter Pan, they have put a disclaimer at the beginning that talks about some of the racial stereotypes in those movies. Song of the South is a different level, and it's a problematic one. And it's a tough question. It's one of those that I don't know if there is a right answer. I like parts of Song of the South. I would love to see him to do a revised version where they took just like the Brer scenes, Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear, Brer Fox, and all that. And if they could just edit those together, that would be kind of a neat little compilation. I don't know about the movie as a whole. It's just one of those that I don't think people would be willing to understand the cultural context of it, because I feel like all too often we're not willing to step out of our comfort zones, and we believe what we believe and we don't care what anybody else believes, and we don't care about facts. Song of the South would not play well in that kind of an atmosphere right now, and it's too bad. It was a product of its time. A lot of the Disney movies were. So were a lot of movies from that era. And were they good? They definitely had issues. The racial stereotypes weren't good, weren't appropriate. I've got friends that have had to deal with them. I don't mind those being addressed. I really don't. And I think we need to be willing to acknowledge those things. I think we need to be willing to acknowledge that those things aren't appropriate. But I think some of it needs to be individual choice, but at the same time, it's also the choice of the company. And for them to be able to say, hey, we don't want this representing us, that's the company's choice. And they're well within their rights with that. With the Dr. Seuss thing that was huge news, when you look at the 5 books that Seuss pulled, the publishing company pulled, nobody told him to pull it. Nobody forced him to pull it. It's not censorship. The company publishers themselves looked at it and said, we don't want this to represent us. And when you look at the books they pulled, it's very understandable why they pulled them. There are some not good caricatures in it. So again, that's not censorship. That's not cancel culture. That is the company making the decision themselves, not people forcing them to do it. And I don't have a problem with that. So that's kind of my views. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd be happy to hear your comments. I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Please don't forget to let me know. Thank you so much for letting me know how you feel, your feedback, what other questions you have that you want me to answer as well. I want to thank my financial supporters too. I want to give a huge shout out to Chris Good. Thank you so much for signing on as a YouTube member. If you want to know about what perks come with that, please feel free to check the links below in the description. Thanks so much for watching. God bless. Hey everybody, it's been a crazy week and it's going to get crazier. That's a terrible intro. I'm here answering some of the questions. Yeah, that's dorky. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to know about contact information, fan pages, merchandise, and more, please be sure to check the description below. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to know when I have new ones, well, make sure you hit that subscribe button right up there. And if you want to see another one of my videos, well, I've got a great one for you right here. And a huge thank you to these wonderful people here who support me on Patreon and with YouTube memberships. They get behind the scenes information, special perks, and more. If you'd like to know more about that, well, make sure you check that button right there. Thank you so much.